Is deal sourcing a scam? Hey, what's up guys? Hope you're all well. Christmas is fast approaching and I did actually have another entirely different video uploaded ready to publish this Friday. But I quickly grabbed my phone and decided to record this video based on a recent post in one of my Facebook groups, which brought the subject up again about deal sources and the training involved behind the scenes. And even though I have mentioned this topic and my views on it several times on previous videos, I actually have never done a video all about deal sourcing. So I thought I'd use this opportunity while it was fresh in my mind and while it was live on a discussion piece within one of my groups to talk about this subject, deal sourcing. So I'm going to break it down into two sections. First of all, I'm going to talk about the actual deal sourcing itself and to where loads of people, 99% of the people who call themselves deal sourcers are going wrong and where potentially you can go right. And then more importantly, the true value in a great deal. And secondly, I'm going to touch on this subject behind the scenes, which is the training and mentorships behind deal sourcing. So let's get straight into it. What is deal sourcing? Now, I don't care who you are, whether you are a vanilla investor, a buy-to-let portfolio landlord, a developer, rent-to-renter, whatever it is. If you are currently in the market or have been in the past, you are sourcing new deals. And they may only just be for yourself or for joint venture partners. It doesn't really matter. Deal sourcing covers a range of things, but in its simplest terms, it is someone who finds a great deal and takes it forward. They source a deal. Now, deal sourcing in its modern context is a sourcer who basically finds a deal and sells it to someone else, typically an investor. But the process is the same. You need to find a great deal and you need to understand what that deal looks like today, what it could look like tomorrow, and what are the potential risks and potential markets that it could tap into. And if you know your market and you know the geographical area, you can tap into multiple markets, or if you're really good, you can try and foresee what the market is going to do and how this property is going to fit into it. And that is a real difference maker. That is how you get ahead of the game. And you know that you're doing the right thing because you have a wave of copycats behind you copying exactly what you're doing in a new fragmented part of the market. And I myself have been a deal sourcer. I've sourced well over 100, it's probably closer to 200 deals now, but I didn't ever sell them on. I sourced deals that I thought were great deals and I was very much a part of all of those projects. And that has been a consistent message for me is, why would you find what is a true great deal and sell it on for a few £1,000, maybe 1%, even on £1 million deal, that's £10,000, an absolute snippet of the true value in terms of profit and experience in a deal maybe of that size. And I really do push against every trainer, mentor, and deal sourcer with my view on this is, if you are in property for the long term and you are using it to build a legacy and generate massive wealth, life-changing wealth, generational wealth, then why would you sell a deal for a few £1,000s? I never forget one of the best deals I did about 4 years ago, which generated about £1 million worth of equity and generates me around 30-40 grand's worth of net cash flow every single year. The joint venture partners I ended up doing the deal with offered me a fee to buy the deal off of me, but I had no ambition. I saw the true value in a great deal, and yes, it was off market, but that doesn't mean anything. And I very much was adamant to be a part of it. And I just can't understand that if you are in property for all the reasons I just said, why you would sell these deals on. But if you're into this to make money, or you're starting off at the entry level and you have no money or experience, selling it and making some quick cash is quite appealing. But I still don't think that there's an argument for that. If someone who was brand new to property and had no money bought me a great deal, and they said to me, look Dan, instead of you paying me 1% or a few £1,000s to buy that deal off of me, I want a piece of the pie. I want a piece of the profit. And more importantly, I want to come along for the journey and be involved in every step of the way. The lessons that person would earn is way more value than they would pay any mentorship. And some of the figures I've heard this week of £24,000 is ridiculous. And they would eventually earn a small piece of the profit, which would probably be more than what they would have got as a finder's fee anyway. And their commercial interest is directly aligned with the person they're working with. So there's never any conflict. I just can't see how anyone can cut it any other way to talk about selling a great deal as opposed to being involved in it. But I guess that is the underlying question. Great deal. And I say that in capital, in bold, underline. That is the difference. It has to be a great deal. And the problem is nearly every single property sourcer that I have personally ever dealt with, who has personally ever reached out to me, never, and I say never, brings me a great deal. This is where the problem lies. Property sourcers are attracted to courses and mentorships and learn this strategy because typically they have no property experience and they have no to little funds. And they see it as a really good way to build up some cash reserves. And there is nothing wrong with that. The problem is the way they enter this market is through mentorships and training programs. And the quality of the deal is not a consideration. The consideration is numbers. It's a numbers game. Contact. It's a contact sport. More people you contact, the more deals you're eventually going to get. And you'll know that if you've ever put an advert for a property to rent on Gumtree or on Rightmove or on some other platform, that you will get a lot of rent-to-renters and deal sourcers contact you. And they aren't interested in the quality of the deal. All they are interested in is if they can get the deal. Because if they can get the deal, they will then be able to sell it on to someone else. And because it's a numbers game, and the return on the numbers or the conversion rate are so low, they literally are in and out, in and out, in and out until they get a bite. And once they throw enough shit at the wall and some of it does stick, it doesn't matter how good that deal is. It doesn't even matter if that deal is on the open market in terms of rent. It doesn't matter if that deal is on the open market in terms of it being for sale. I have had dozens and dozens of deal sourcers contact me about complex, large, nice projects that I've got for sale on the open market, which produce really good yield, which are really attractive. And the first thing that they tell me is they've got an investor they want to buy it, which is complete bullshit. They then want me to sign a non-disclosure agreement and an exclusivity agreement and agree to pay them a fee. And obviously they'll get a fee from the other end of the buyer. And that fee is anything from 1% to 2%. But when you start to scratch beyond the surface and ask them, who is behind it? What's their proof of funds? What's their position? Is it a consortium? Is it an individual? Is it a company? They don't know. And it's because it's a sales tactic to get you to do the deal. But here's the biggest scam of all. They want me to remove that property from the open market. So they can go to an investor and say it's an off-market deal. And the reason why they do that is because there is a hidden mythology within the property world that off-market equals good deal. And it does not. Some of the best deals that I have ever done have been on the open market. One of the best deals I have done this year has been on the open market. Off-market does not equal good deal. And if you believe that, or you're getting told that, or you're getting sold that, you are in a world of trouble. And this is my experience with deal sourcers. They want to manipulate the figures, manipulate the situation, take the market off the deal so they can package up something that looks good to someone who's looking at the wrong things so they can sell it on. And that is why deal sourcers have such a bad name. And that is why if you are involved in property today, if you have a buy-to-let portfolio, if you have even rent-to-rent, if you do doing anything else involved in property, my view, if you become a deal sourcer to sell it on, you are taking a massive step backwards. But if you use your deal sourcing skills to then do the deal yourself, you can find really good deals with really good joint venture partners and have really good experiences and make a lot of money. And you don't have to approach individuals to take the property off the market. It's okay to do a joint venture with someone with a property that's on the market. Typically, the majority of properties do go on the market because there are a lot of sales estate agents out there and they are very good at their job. And a really good deal sourcer, a really good entrepreneur, a really good property investor will have great relationships with the best estate agents. And they are the ones who get the calls when someone needs to sell quickly, someone has a complex project, someone is willing to look at options and leases and all of those things. And the people they call are the people that they know will not try and force a square brick through a round hole. They will work with the set of circumstances that they're handed in order to find a quick, easy solution for the vendor, which means that the transaction can go through really simply, which means the estate agent gets their fee, the vendor gets the sale or whatever, and you get the property. And I would challenge anyone who calls themselves a deal sourcer to come online and even debate this with me. Well, I'm happy to have a healthy debate, and I'm sure there are many people who have made a lot of money, but I think I am a really good example of quality over quantity, doing the deal instead of selling the deal, and in return, you get a massive amount of wealth, a legacy, a generational change of wealth created. Because it isn't about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. And keeping money tax-free in equity is one of the most tax-efficient ways to build wealth. Okay, so moving on to the backdrop, the behind the scenes to these deal sourcing individuals who come on and do all of the wrong things that I talked about before. Now, the post that I referred to earlier in one of my Facebook groups was about an individual who already has a buy-to-let portfolio and actually already has ventured out into something else like rent to rent. But their view is that going on a deal sourcing course and paying a huge amount of money and learning probably what they already know is going to change the way that they do things and build more income and maybe wealth. And some of the key factors that they hung their hat on as USPs or reasons to pay this obscene amount of money and do the course was things like you get access to off-market deals. You get access to the mentors to tell you how to secure these deals. You get access to a pool of investors. Now, it was really interesting because one of the individuals who commented on the thread was in the pool of investors the training company refers to. And they aren't interested in buying just any old deal. They're interested in great deals. And unfortunately, what this cycle of training to deal sourcing to selling actually eventually achieves is an individual pays a huge amount of money to a deal sourcing training company. They tell you pretty much everything that you already knew if you were involved in property. And if you didn't, you could probably have found it through videos, books, Facebook groups, and a lot of online free content. However, I do recognize that within the mentor training world, there is value to be had on what you don't know. And to go and sit in a room and for someone to tell you that can be a light bulb moment, but you will typically get that on the free introductory meeting or course. There is no need to go any further than that. Anyway, back to the process and the cycle. So you've got the individual and they are convinced by the sales company, by the training company, by the mentorship company to pay this fee because you will learn how to source deals. You will have instant contact from the trainer themselves, whether that's phone calls, one-to-one meetings, or WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever. And you will have access to their pool of investors. Now, let's say you pay your fee and you are told how to find a great deal. And you do your leaflet droppings, your signs on the post, contacting estate agents, contacting agents about individual properties, going on Gumtree, trying to get contacts, and it doesn't start to fall into place. But you've spent all this money and you have all this new knowledge or knowledge re-rapid, so you are desperate to find a great deal. And it's that desperation and it's that drive to try and get a deal done, which means some of the integrity and some of the quality starts to fall. But eventually you find a deal and you package it up and you make it look really good. And then you try and sell it to this group of investors. Now, this group of investors, if they even exist, will typically be pretty savvy. They're not going to just buy a deal because you say it looks really, really good. They're going to do their due diligence. And And I guess eventually you will try and find a deal in a location and a market to someone who already plays in that location and market. This is where I have had experience. Someone has bought me, who lives out of area, a student deal in Norwich. And it's not in the student location, the property doesn't work, it's a complete waste of time and overpriced. Now eventually you'll find yourself in a position where you're dealing with an experienced investor who's willing to buy great deals. And you aren't going to be able to sell them a mediocre deal or an average deal and charge a fee. And you're definitely not going to be able to sell them a deal that they can go and buy on the open market. So this is where waste of time starts to get massively spent. So what you've paid for is a load of knowledge, but actually you can't ever just go and get a deal based on the knowledge. You need to go and get experience. You need to go and understand the market. And experience and understanding the market is something you cannot ever pay for. It's something that only requires time and hard work and lots of getting down and dirty in the local market. And it's those two key factors that will always bring you the very best deals, or allow you to find the best deals on the open market. And then you've got this pool of investors that you thought it was going to be really easy to sell these deals to and make loads and loads of income. And the reality is the deals are just not strong enough for you to be selling to this pool of investors. So then you start branching a little bit further out via the Facebook groups and via the networks and all the individuals you've met who said they might be interested in a deal. And it doesn't ever really pan out. And this is why out of 100 people who come and do deal sourcing, 95% of them aren't doing it 12 months down the line. And this is why I cannot understand why individuals are paying lots and lots of money to do these courses to effectively be put into a position where it's not going to generate wealth and it's not going to generate a legacy. Yes, you may sell a few deals, but I've already said, if you sell a deal and the deal is good enough for someone to pay any money for it, unless you are completely scamming them or they're completely naive, the deal would have delivered much more for you had you have been involved. Had you have been part of it as a profit share and part of the journey for the experience. And the experience, your experience, can be something you can talk about and can be sold many times over. So I've talked about a lot of things there and I've done it in a really quick fire way. But what are your thoughts on this subject? I know it's quite a contentious subject. I know there's a lot of people who sell courses, sell training, and are deal sources themselves that will disagree with me. And look, I am not knocking anyone who has made a viable business selling great deals, but I am absolutely challenging them versus creating income versus building generational wealth and a legacy. So let me know your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your comments, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ping me a private message on Instagram. But look, that's it from me. Hope you found the content rich. I'll catch you all on the next video.